Hello everyone, my name is Dead Gambit and welcome back to another Roblox tutorial. Now I first would want to apologize for basically disappearing for almost 2 weeks. I was very busy, as a lot of you know I do have a busy schedule, but I did find the time to actually get around to this. Some people have noticed in my past videos I would sometimes show my my inventory for a game that I'm currently working on, and a lot of people wanted to know, hey, how do you make an inventory like that? How do you add something to a player's inventory and have it show the actual object that you have? And this is basically what this tutorial is going to go into. So let's just get right to it actually. And the first thing that we're going to do is, as tradition, create a screen GUI. And we'll call this main GUI. I always name all of my screen GUIs this for whatever is going to always be on the player's screen. I always name it main GUI. Very rarely do I use other screen GUIs. I mostly have everything thrown into this main GUI, and you know, I just turn some things off and leave some things on, or switch them around, whatever. But that's always what I do. It really helps with controlling management, basically making everything more organized. So we'll add a frame, and we'll call this frame inventory, not intentory, inventory. All right, let's mess around with the scaling of this a little bit. The scaling can be entirely up to you. You do not have to go off of what I do. I know a few people were wondering, hey Gambit, what are your dimensions? It honestly does not matter. It's all up to your preference. I like things to be kind of evened out on a I like things on a big canvas and kind of evened out, so I will like go out of my way to make it almost as perfect as I can, but you don't have to do that. It's all up to you. Some people like to have square GUIs or stuff like that. You know, it's all up to you, or rectangular. I'm sorry, or rectangular GUIs and not sort of like a perfect square GUI. It's all up to you guys. It's all up to you. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Try to center it. There we go. Let's see. Let's mess with this. Oh, and I can't stress this enough. If you always want your GUI to always be like this or in a certain position that you put it, you always mess with the first values of each axis. Never go by Roblox automatically. Let me show you. A lot of you already know this, but Roblox will automatically set it into the second X and Y axis values, but those are very inaccurate. They do not go with your actual screen space. Basically meaning like if you have it like this and you were to go in a game, most likely because of due to the size of your screen, it'll probably end up here or over there when you're playing the actual game. Or if someone's on a phone, it'll probably be off their screen. So you always wanna mess with these values. I think it's called offset. The first values is called the offset. Someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but you always want to change these first values here, leave these as 0. The only time you would mess with this really is if you wanted to have something go past, like fill up the screen completely. Roblox used to have the black bar. I'm not sure if that's still a thing. I'm pretty sure it's not. But because of the menu and the chat GUI up here that's automatically built in, it's all GUIs, even if they are like maxed out size of 1010, they will sit like right here, and you'll just have this big invisible space. The only time you would really want to use these second values, which is really for the Y, is if you wanted to go past that. So let's say you wanted the position to be -5, or let's do something bigger, -50 and 50. So that way, let me bring it down. Let me do it this way. First of all, I'm going to, let me set this back. Let me show you what I mean. So if I were to put 1010 and I were to 0 the position out completely. So right here, even though on our screen in Studio, it looks like it's completely filling the screen, unfortunately, because of that menu and the chat, and then the toggle for the what's it called? The leaderboard is right there. It's like an invisible bar. So everything is going to be pushed downward a little bit, creating a little empty space there, which is why I always like to tamper with this. So let's say I wanted it like -20 for the y-axis in its second value for the position, and then I even it out with 20. So that way, even though it's been shifted up by -20 on the y-axis, we actually bring the size back down, so you can actually have it kind of equally filled out. And when you hit press play in the real game, you know, it'll actually fill up your entire screen. I know this has nothing to do with the inventory, but I just wanted to bring that out, because I know I've seen a lot of tutorials where people have just gone straight to messing with these editing the second values, not even touching the first ones. And you know, a lot of people are like, well, hey, my thing is offset when I play the game, or my thing is not in the correct position when I play the game. Well, you know, that's why. That's a little tidbit of information. That took way longer than I wanted it to. But anyways, so I'm actually going to duplicate this. We're going to call it our main, and we're going to drag and drop it in. And we're going to edit these dimensions, make it 1010 for size, and 0 out its position. Oops. And let's make the background completely transparent. Let's go to our inventory and actually change that to a little darker color. There we go. So next, and I'm sure everyone who has been watching my videos know, I love using my UI constraints. I would script, now a lot of people like to script their own method of formatting their inventory and whatnot, but I love grid layouts because it's faster and easier to work with. In my opinion, it's completely up to you. One thing I'm going to talk about though, Roblox loves putting everything in the, you know, second values here, so just be mindful of that. I'm going to 0 out the padding for now. Actually, I'm going to put it to 0.5, see where we go with that. Oops. And then let's do 0.30, 0.4. Right now I'm just messing around with it. I'm trying to make it kind of an even square. So maybe we would want 2? No. 215 225. And then what if we duplicated it? Oh, and that's why you always want to keep messing with it. So our X is a little bit too big. Still a little too big. Let's do 05? 02. And let me see how that fills out. So if I keep... And of course the Y. Let's see if 02 works well for here. Maybe 0.15? I just want to try to get it as close as possible here. Okay, so that's almost good. And if you don't want to have like this directly in a corner and this just like this empty space here, you simply go down here and you turn the horizontal alignment to center, and there you go. Everything's centered out properly. So this is going to be our, I'm going to delete these other ones now. So this is going to be our base object frame, and we can call this item slot. That's what it will be called. So now in replicated storage, I'm going to put a folder. I'm going to call it GUI items. I'm just going to drag my item slot in here because right now I do not need it. Now the next thing we're going to do is set up the inventory, our actual inventory, our physical inventory that's going to hold our items. So I'm going to go into scripts. We're going to call this player join. It's going to be, we're going to receive the inventory as soon as the player joins the game. Alright, so in this player joined script, we're simply going to have the game give us an inventory as soon as we join in. So what we're going to do is we're going to have game.players.player added connect function player. That'll be the reference to the player. And now we're going to create an instance of an empty folder, and that'll represent our inventory. So local inv equals instance.new folder. Then we do inv.name equals, you guessed it, inventory. In our inventory.parent, it's going to equal our player. So when we play the game, as soon as we load in, okay, there we go. We open our player, and now we have an empty folder called inventory. All right, great. Okay, so the next thing, the next thing we have to do is we have to set up our GUI inventory here. So let's make a local script. We'll call this manager. This will manage everything that enters our inventory. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll have Oops. We'll reference our player, local player equals game dot players dot oops dot local player. We're going to reference our inventory. Local inventory equals player weight or child inventory. There we go. And then we're going to make a reference to our replicated storage. Local rep storage equals game dot replicated storage dot GUI items. Oops, I'm sorry, just replicated storage. We're not even there yet. I was completely going ahead of myself. Okay, let's see. We got that. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did with the player joined, is exactly what we're going to use for our inventory. So we're going to do inventory dot child added connect function child, and let's just print out a simple message anytime the child enters. So it will be, let's do item received colon space dot dot child dot name. Now I kind of went ahead of myself, but I made a makeshift child. The only thing I did was I threw in a part, called it handled, I grouped it, called it handle, I grouped it, and then I named it an item. And then I threw it into server storage, and that's where we're going to get most of our items from. So hit play. And let's move you use this right here to move over to our server side. And that's where we'll be able to access the item that we created. So let's drag that and drop it inside of inventory. And as you can see here, our message came up saying item received, an item. So we go back here, nothing really updated in our inventory yet, because we haven't finished making that function, but we did receive the notification that an item was in fact added. Okay, so let's go back to our manager and let's further build on this script. So let's draw a reference to our slot. We'll do local slot equals rep storage dot GUI items dot item slot clone. Then we do slot dot name equals child dot name, and then we do, let's see, slot dot parent equals script dot parent. So now we hit play. We go to the server side. We paste in our item. We go back to the client side, and there we go. We have that slot frame that we made. And then if we go to player GUI, and this is in the client right now, and we go over to our inventory, we go to main, We drop down here. This is what we just added. That's the frame. It took that took the empty slot right here, gave it a name based on the item that we had, and it plopped it right on in there. So if you'll notice, when we reset, now our inventory has reset, or the GUI has reset, but not the inventory, the physical inventory that holds all of our items. So how do we get rid of that? That's very simple. So we're actually going to make a function up here. And we're going to make a for loop. So it'll be for I don't want to do this. Let's do index child in pairs, inventory, get children, do, and basically it's going to be the exact same actually it's yeah, I'm sorry, it's going to be the exact same for the child child added function, only this time, even if we reset, you know, it's not going to disappear. It'll always be pulling from the inventory exactly what we have. So if I were to hit play, and I go to my player, I gotta grab my makeshift item. I throw it in there. I see that I have received the item. I go back to the client. I see that it's here. I'm going to reset, and it should still be there. And what do you know? It still is there. Open up my GUI stuff. You can see that it's there. And every time I reset my character, and I open up main GUI, you'll see that it'll continue making a clone, and it will never duplicate it more because we don't have reset on spawn to false. If you do have reset on spawn to false, then I think it will keep making more, if I'm not mistaken. And that's not what we want. You do want that on. You just, in order to make sure that it saves, well, it's not really saving so much as it's just after it resets, it's continually bringing what you already have in your inventory over. So this is what updates. This is what keeps updating it every time we pull in something new. And this is what keeps our current items, even when we die, reset, whatever. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do for this part of the tutorial, I'm going to try to keep these relatively short. So for this part of the tutorial, the last thing I'm going to do is let's make a makeshift shop. This will be our shop. Keep it anchored. Put in a click detector. And now let's go to our starter player scripts. Put in a local script. Let's call it click detection. So let's make reference to our shop. Local shop equals game.workspace. Find first child shop. Okay. And then let's make reference to the click detector. So it'll be local. I'm going to call it clicker. equals shop, find first child, click detector. And then let's make the function. So clicker dot mouse click connect function. And let's do, almost forgot, let's actually make a reference to the player as well. Local player equals game dot players dot local player. So then let's make another reference to our server storage. Server storage equals game dot server storage. And then we'll do local item equals server storage dot n item clone. Then we do item dot parent equals player. So basically what this is going to do is once we click on this button, it will add the an item model into our inventory. So I click it. Oops, what is this? An item is not a valid member of server storage. Oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, so I don't know why I forgot about this. So the client cannot see anything that's server sided. So let's go ahead and make a remote folder as well as a remote event. And we'll call this shop. I don't know why I forgot about this. So it can't see that. So we'll do local remotes equals game dot replicated storage dot remotes. So then we'll do remotes dot shop dot fire server. I'm gonna go here to server script service. We'll call this remote functions. Make a reference to our remotes folder. Remotes equals game dot replicated storage dot remotes. Then I'll do remotes dot shop dot on server connect function. We'll bring reference to our player, and we'll just, what, did I delete them? Yeah, I did. So it'll be local item equals game dot server storage dot an item clone, and then item dot parent will equal the player. So now it should work. I run over here, I click it. Oh, should be player dot inventory. Apologize. So now I click it and there we go. I keep clicking it and I can add a whole bunch of these and it'll just keep going. I recommend using a scrolling frame. I didn't put a scrolling frame in this tutorial, but I do recommend using one and then editing the Y value for the scroll so that way you can hold enough, or you can even put in a limit of how many items that can be in your inventory. But if we go here, we see we have a whole ton of items in our inventory from clicking that our little shop there. And then if I reset, when I respawn, I should have, yep, all my items are still there. Alright, so that's all the time I had for this part. In the next part, I will go over how to actually save. My friend did give me a template for a data store for that. Because like I've said in the past, I'm not really good at data stores, so I asked my friend to help me out. He said, sure, man. I'm like, nice. So I'll explain as best as I can how to use that. I'll also try to go over, depending on time, I'll try to go over how to show an item in the viewport space. So when you receive an item, you will be able to see the 3D item on your GUI. And maybe I'll also go over, maybe as a bonus, I'll go over utilizing buttons, actual tools. So like maybe I'll show you how to, I'll probably show how to set up an inventory for armor, and you'll need to watch my armor tutorials in order to catch up, because I did show how to make the equip, how to equip the armor from a GUI. So basically that's all going to be thrown into the next tutorial, but that's only if I have time. Anyways, I will that's all for now. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please leave a like and subscribe. I also have other tutorials videos out there, so please check those out if you want. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I try to engage with everyone as best as I can, as quickly as I can. And that's all for today, guys. As always, I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!